Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Let me give you, my dear brothers and sisters, my salam, and thank you for showing up, and those who show up in the future. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brother Kenyatta, and my dear sister Zora, well, my dear brother Abodi. Who else we have here? My dear sister Abina, and those who are watching from afar. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, my dear brothers and sisters, we had last episode here on the failure of Black nationalism and what it has done to the Black psyche and how it basically helped to confuse it. And instead of the intentions of uplifting it, we know it did the exact opposite of that, because we know the masses of our people, especially in the Western Hemisphere, in the Americas and the West Indies, just don't want to have it. Okay, they're not into it. Many of them don't want to hear about it, and many of them are satisfied in the positions they are in, or they are just so much apathy because they have been defeated. So the Black nationalism has not taken off as it should be. But this is nothing new, my brothers and sisters, as I will show you here, inshallah ta'ala. You know, Pan-Africanism is something that is on the rise again. And this time is kind of a new phenomenon in some sense. We've had different sorts of this in our history. It'll go strong for a while, and then it'll die out, and then it's defeated, and it rises up again. It mutates into another type of genre. So we know that Pan-Africanism is, again, nothing new. And as I laid out, you have Black nationalism and you have Pan-Africanism. And me as a Muslim, I must say that Black nationalism is contrary to our beliefs in Islam. I don't care if it's Arab nationalism or if it's European nationalism or whatever the situation may be. But Pan-Africanism or any other Pan, Japan, Pan, China, we as Muslims are able to do this to a certain degree. But I won't get into that because those are Islamic issues. And tonight is not about basically Islam. Tonight we're talking about Pan-Africanism, and we're talking about our brothers who mainly are Muslims living in the West, but also our non-Muslim brothers who have gravitated, who want to gravitate, want to understand how they can be a Pan-Africanist, what they can do as a Pan-Africanist, and what makes them distinguished from Black nationalism. And if you see something, I'll give you something. The first salvo I will say to you, you look at these groups that's hitting the streets today. I won't mention their names. Everybody knows who they are, and they're causing a racket. They're doing a lot of things they're demonstrating and whatnot and so on. And you notice they are basically Black nationalists. Their focus is basically that inside the United States, that with the Black folk around them and those surrounding inside the United States. Their focus is not a Pan-Africanism. It is not. It has nothing to do with that, and it doesn't want anything to do with it. And this, again, as I said before, goes to the confusion on Black people because they say they're Black. They may even acknowledge that they're ancestors from Africa, but yet they stay away from it. And so, as I explained last week, this problem is so acute. And so a person like me, I'm sitting back, I'm watching these people, and I'm trying to figure out, well, if these people are this, then why they don't like Africa? It doesn't make sense. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the new rise of Pan-Africanism. We have to go back, though, to the genesis of this. I'm going to give you something, and I wrote, I don't know if it's in the chat now, I wrote something about one famous, because I wrote something in the chat, I don't know if it's still there or not, about Martin R. Delaney. He was one of the first and a Pan-Africanist deluxe. They classified him as Black nationalist because even the Tubab has confusion on Black nationalism and Pan-Africanism. Anytime a Black man stands up against him, the first thing he wants to say is Black nationalism. He wants to say is reverse discrimination and racism. But he doesn't want to say anything about Pan-Africanism because in his mind, he wants to keep us focused basically in the problems that's happening in Mississippi or the problems happening in Missouri. They don't want us to think about the Pan-Africanism, which encompasses all of us. They want us to focus on certain problems, and that's it. And we put all our energy into that because they want Africa hidden from the Black man and his family in the Western Hemisphere. They want it hidden. And you say, why, Yahya? You think about it. As I laid out last week, the Tubab governments, okay, are flocking to Africa. The powerful Asian governments are doing what? They're flocking to what? Africa. We even have our brothers in South America are starting to make their way to Africa. We have the Jews who are coming into Africa. We have the Turks coming into Africa. We have the Iranians who are trying to make way into Africa. The only ones who is not doing it is us. Now you think about that. You think about the psyche of the Tubab. He's trying to get you focused only inside the United States because he knows inside the United States as a Black nationalist, he'll let you rap as I talk. I mean, hey man, we can sit and we pop popcorn. Like I said, we talk and we sit down and we see the brothers rap and talk about what's happening in Missouri or other places like this, but we still have the remaining problems. They want you not focus on Africa because the minute you start focusing on Africa and your heart begins to gravitate towards Africa, that's the new Pan-Africanism they are scared of. And we're starting to see it now because as brothers begin and sisters begin to come to Africa, they are creating a new Pan-Africanism that they don't want to see because they still want us to stay inside United because they can control us there. They have all the apparatus to keep us in check. They have the control of the infrastructure. They have the control of the criminal justice system. They control the banking system. They control all of the major infrastructure to keep the country rolling. They got us behind the 8 ball and all of it. And they want you there. They want you up there rapping on the corner, getting on TV and rapping, talking, because they know they laugh at you because they say, hey, you know what? These people here, they're not going to go anywhere. Let them talk. But they don't want to see you when you arrive in Ghana. They don't want to see you when you arrive in Morocco. They don't want to see you arrive in Kenya. They don't want to see you in Tanzania. They don't want to see you in South Africa because now you're waking up. And as the brothers begin to filter there and they begin to empower the brothers there in a new Pan-Africanism, where, as I will discuss, they don't want that. They don't want to see that. But they in turn are flocking themselves there to get a piece of the pie. That's how important Africa is. But to us as Black people in the Americas, we basically don't have no regard for Africa. We still regard it as a place. The Tubab told us that we were monkeys jumping out of trees, and we still have African Americans who believe that. We still have African Americans who call themselves colored. We have all sorts of, and it was described by Black psychologists that there was 10 different grades of Black people in the United States. 10. That's right, my brothers and sisters, 10. And this is why we have the separation. And one of the 10 groups were Pan-Africanists. And as in Islam, the Tubab looks at the greatest threat. In Islam, they figured out the fundamentalists and the traditionalists. They're afraid of them. They're the ones who will revive the Islam. They don't want to see that. So they fight them, they kill them, they make war against them. In the Western world, the ones who they really fear is who? The Black nationalists, because he's inside there and he's focusing inside there and he's causing problems. And now he's arming themselves. We have incidents of Black nationalists shooting police. We now have white flight running all over the place. We have Tubab inside America who are afraid. But then the one who they really want to watch is the Pan-Africanist. Because it's him who will come over to Africa, unite with the brothers there, and get cleaned up, get renewed, and create a society that he cannot create, because he's getting pushed out slowly. It may not seem that way, but ask the French. The French are being pushed out of Africa very slowly. The Americans are starting to have their footway. They have their foot on the necks of many of the leaders, but it's starting to change. So let's look at Pan-Africanists, the new rise of Pan-Africanism. It gave rise to the Pan-Africanists originally gave rise to the resistance of slavery. We know that. We understand that. The culmination of realization that Black folk cannot live in harmony in America. That's the realization of the Pan-Africanist. The Black nationalist doesn't say that. He said he's still trying to hang around the Tubab. He still wants to work with the Tubab. He still wants to adopt his ways as the Tubab. He still wants to go and eat his food and the way he eats it, where it's killing him. He still wants to do that. But yet he wants to go in the corner and rap about Black nationality and so forth and so on. But yet he's mixed the two. He's still got the ways of the Tubab and he's got the ways of a hybrid culture. He doesn't want to mix Africanism in it. And when you go to many of these Black nationalists and you ask them, you say, you know what? I don't understand, my brother. You see, you're Black nationalist, but then you don't want to name any of your children after famous Africans. Why is that? Why aren't you not advocating the language of Swahili? Why are you not advocating the liberation of Africa and the migration to Africa in order to be whole again? They are against this, my brothers and sisters. Not, some of them are, but most of them are. Now you understand the failure of the Black nationalism and why the new Pan-Africanism is the best route that the brothers can take right now. Now, they were against the call of front runners to Black nationalism. The Pan-Africanists and the Black nationalists in the 1800s, they were at odds. Again, just as we talked, the Black nationalists said, "Hey, man, we can work it out. You know what? We're going to do this. We're going to work it out with the Tubab, and we're going to work in harmony with them, and we're going to live inside the United States and overcome, and we can walk down the street and hold hands with the Tubab." This is what the Black nationalists, this is their thought. The Pan-Africanists says, "No, man, it's over. You've killed us enough. You hung us enough. You castrated us enough. You lynched us enough. You've done enough to us. Now we want to go back home to Africa." And you see the difference. That war, this disagreement take place in the 1800s, in the mid 1800s. That's right. And the catalyst of this is our ancestral brother, Frederick Douglass, and our ancestral brother, Martin R. Delaney. Even though they had worked together, they had separated. One was basically into Black nationalism, but not wholly, but he catered to that. And Martin Delany became Pan-Africanist. If you read about him, every African American, I don't care, or any black man in the Western Hemisphere has to read about Martin R. Delany, because he was the front runner before W.E. Du Bois and before our famous brother Marcus Garvey. So you have to know about this man. If you want to be a Pan-Africanist, you cannot be that until you read about this man in particular. You cannot say you Pan-Africanist when you don't know about this man, because he's a front runner for Pan-Africanism. So now the Black nationalists also said they want separation from the white folk. We know that, and we have Pop Singleton, we had George Patmore. All of them wanted separation inside the United States. And I even say this today. Many of you know I've made this reference as well. If those who can migrate to Africa, and so we know that the Black nationalists and the Pan-Africanists, they took their examples from Marcus Garvey, George Patmore, W.E. Du Bois, but they did not take their philosophy from Martin R. Delany. I wonder why. It's very interesting that they didn't. They kind of bypassed him. I don't know why, but I saw that. And so the Africans born in America are stressing the creation of a new African state. This is Pan-Africanism. Now you say, yeah, I'm confused here. You just got to talking about the brothers wanting a new state, but they were Black nationalists. The Pan-Africanists are wanting to create, because they can't come to Africa. So they want to create a new Africa in the southern states. This new Africa is not going to be like what it was in the past. I'm talking about those separated. They were trying to hug up to the Tubab. They were trying to learn his ways. They thought if they go and name their children after the Tubab, that it was going to be okay. They stepped and fetch it in front of him. They sit there and waited for a plate of victuals and butter biscuit and all that. The new Pan-Africanists said, okay, you know what? We're going to go carve the states out. South Carolina, Georgia, Arkansas, and Mississippi in particular. Okay, those four, and some of maybe the northern portion of Florida. There's about five of the southern states. In these states, they will be introducing Swahili as our lingua franca. Yes, we speak English, but we will speak African dialogue. We will keep everything Black. We will have Black superintendents of our schools. We'll have Black cops. We'll have Black infrastructure, even using the U.S. money, but we will have our own infrastructure. This is the new call for the new Pan-Africanism inside the United States, what makes it different from the Black nationalism, because Black nationalism is a lot of talk. It's not getting anybody together. You see they hitting the streets and they dressing up in all kind of costumes and everything and talking, but there's no how we gonna get together. They want to fight the police, but they don't know how to fight the police. They don't know how to fight the infrastructure. The Pan-Africans said, okay, hey man, look, I'm not gonna hit the streets. Yes, I don't see my brothers. I don't want to see my brothers shot up on the streets by roving Tubab cops. I don't want to see that. But they're smart enough to know you can't take on the marauding Tubab cop. He's got the whole government of U.S. behind him. So he said, okay, you want to do that? I'll use your laws and I'll use your ways and means against you. I'll just migrate down to the South. And we're starting to see that, my brothers and sisters. Many of the Pan-Africanists were advocating that. And they're starting to form little enclaves. And it's growing. And now they're going to institute African customs in it. And they're going to start to adopt in the schools Swahili. Yes, the national education, he will come in and talk about, hey, I want English. Oh, yes, that'll be, yes, we understand that that's the lingua franca of the United States. We have to abide by that. But we're going to be speaking Swahili. This is the new Pan-Africanism, the new inside the United States, in the South. Swahili, my brothers and sisters. Swahili. Yes, an African dialect. When the brothers is no different than hey, like Spanish Harlem. What our Puerto Rican brothers do when they're in Spanish Harlem? They speak Spanish, right? Down in the South, when we carve out those states, we gonna be when the people come down to our place in the South here, when we have our place, when we start running it, we're gonna say, hey man, hey, if I go to Spanish Harlem, I'm going to speak Spanish. I understand that. But now you in my homeland. Now I'm over here in Georgia. You're gonna speak Swahili. You see, this is what our aim is. Somebody gonna say, well, hey, yeah, whoa, man, that's kind of hard. That's racist. Well, no, it's not. Because we have Spanish Harlem. We have Chinatown, huh? Chinatowns are all over in big cities. And inside Chinatown, you see Chinese speaking Cantonese and Mandarin and so forth and so on. Why is it okay for them? And then with us, we come down in the South and we say, hey, look, we're gonna have our thing. We're gonna speak Swahili. Now everybody says it's wrong. But we should ignore that. But the new Pan-Africanists say, no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna stress this. This is how we're gonna do. Now, as I said, the target of the new Pan-Africanism inside the United States, again, is the southern states, and the adoption of African culture and names. My brothers and sisters, I must insist on this. You ask our brothers who have went to African naming ceremonies and what happened to them. They changed. It's like your ancestors now came and like pat you on the back. Okay, I'm just talking. I'm a Muslim. I don't believe in certain things, but I'm talking because there's things about the unseen we do not understand. And because we know that Subhanahu wa ta'ala gives certain privileges to those who are oppressed. We know that from the Quran. We understand that. We know that even in Judaism. We know that. And Christianity as well. We know that when the people are suppressed and oppressed by somebody, we know Subhanahu wa ta'ala does something. We were killed and massacred. 12 million of us were murdered. Okay. Now, they go to and adopt these African names officially by court or unofficially. Okay. Instead of being called John, we call Kwame. See, start changing the names. Start changing the names around. Start now acting like African, adopting these names. This is part of the new Pan-Africanism is adoption of the African culture and names. My brothers and sisters, I urge all of you, if you can, you go on YouTube, and some you may have to pay a small price and get on those virtual African naming ceremonies. They're advertising on Google, and I think also on YouTube, and they have them every other month or something like this. Sierra Leone, I can't remember, but you check those out. And when they have one, there's some money, and you understand we have to pay our brothers. We should. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if they charging $700, $800, that's a different situation. Then that's wrong. But I don't know what they're charging offhand. I can't remember. I saw one site and I was impressed. Brothers and sisters, if you want to be a new Pan-Africanist, you have to have the name change. Even I understand when you're working, you may not be able to go to court and change your name. Okay, I understand that. But you take this name unofficially. You still have people call you by these names, by these African names. And you'll see the difference that it will make with you. When you begin to know that you're not Robert anymore, that your name is Kwame, okay? They see that. Or that your name is Mohammed or something like this. Or you have another beautiful name and you're a sister. You have a beautiful African name, Chinara. You see? And now you take on this persona because now you have adopted the name of your ancestors. You sisters, we got beautiful African names for the sisters. Beautiful. And they have meaning. Chinara means precious. Chinara. It's a beautiful name. It supersedes, it's better than names of Linda or Darlene or some of the Russian names that the black people are Natasha, all these kind of names they're taken from the Russians. Chinara, beautiful name, means precious in the Igbo language. Chinara, beautiful names. I hope you see where I'm getting at, my brothers and sisters. That's important. Now, the new Pan-Africanist now will change something that is very upsetting in the Black community, especially in the United States. The erasing of the matriarchal system that has got a hold over the Black culture inside the United States. That's got to be done. Now, I preface that by saying we understand the system now. The brothers cannot take care of business. They cannot. Okay, we have a lot of deadbeat brothers. We understand them. Many of them are gangsters. Many of them are slinging dope. Many of them are rapping. Many of them are just, they're terrible. Okay, bottom line. Many of them are in jail unjustly. So the pool of Black men is short. We understand that. Somebody had to take the reins. We know the sisters have to take the reins. But we also know from all three major religions that the matriarchal system does not work. It does not preserve the race. You need both. The man was given this power to lead and to protect. He's not doing this. Talking about us, talking about we, the Black man. We're not doing it because the system has, destroyed us. But under the new Pan-Africanist system, we're going to work it out where we're going to incorporate the African system. The sisters will be very important in this, but not as the boss, not as she come to tell me what to do, or she's now the caretaker and so forth. But look, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here, why the matriarchal system is very dangerous. When you got a society as rough and tough as the United States, what happens? You have a strong sister, deserving sister, but can she go outside, most of them, and go out there and fight? When you got two bobs out there in the yard, she can't, she's not physically able to beat them. But the brother is, because that's his job, to protect his family. Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the strength of that. This is one part of when you want to be in charge, you just can't be in charge by sticking out your lip and talking crazy. You got to back it up also physically, because this is the way the only way the Tubab understands anything is physical. We understand that. Malcolm taught us that. We see that. Our sisters they're women. They're not, that's not their job. Their bodies are not designed for that. We understand that. And see, and this is where the paradox go. When you have the matriarchal system here, suddenly when it's called on them, they have to go hit the streets and go fight. They can't do it. The Klan are out there. They can't fight them. They got the Nazis out there. They're not physically able to go fight them, but the brothers are, and we've been fighting them, and we fight them because that's, Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us that. So we have to change that system, but the brothers have got to be right first. The brothers got to be right with Subhanahu wa ta'ala first, and bring back the natural order of things through his guide, through Subhanahu wa ta'ala's guide. He's got to do that. And then we can do this. The sisters, I believe in my heart, once they see the brothers strong, they will fall in line. But right now, we're not doing that. And we understand the sisters have to take the reins and preserve us and our children right now, because that's the system. We have no other choice. But it's detrimental to us, as I explained last week. The new Pan-Africanists will stress Black empowerment with action. Yes, with action. Bringing in the culture, language, and we will have people. Now, we use the media. As I told on another show before, when the brothers begin to get on the media and some Tubab gets to interview some athlete or some rapper or some prominent Black man, and he begins to speak in Swahili, you know what that's going to do? That's going to be impressive. The brothers from LA to Washington, D.C. who watched this brother talk, he's going to be impressed. He said, man, you see this? You see, yeah, he spoke Swahili. It's going to spread because that's the media spreads. We need to use the media, brothers, and the new Pan-Africanists will do this. He will, those with the clout who have the media by the hand, and he began to speak Swahili. That's going to be impressive. It's going to be impressive. It's going to take off like wildfire, because why? The brothers are influenced just like everybody else. How are they influenced by the rappers? Because they're all over the TV. When you get brothers speaking Swahili, beautiful Swahili, okay, and begin to act in a certain way, it's going to rub off on a lot of young brothers. It's going to rub off on them, and then they'll be able to adapt this. Now, this is something the Pan-Africanists will be able to do, because why? The Pan-Africanists generally have education, and they will be able, and we will have the right people in place. They'll be able to take on the roving, marauding Tubab cop. That's important in the new Africa and the South. You got to be able to take him on, not necessarily taking him on with bombs. That's not what, and killing him outright. No, I'm not talking about that. But with court actions and a different type of protest, we will use our clout to fight him in many ways. Okay. And this is what we can do. You're not going to win a war going and having gun battles with him, because they'll bring in the National Guard and it'll be over. They'll start killing. And not only they will kill those brothers, they will kill all the families in adjacent areas. You know how they are with us. So this is important. They'll have a way to take on the roving, marauding Tubac cop. And it's going to put an end to this, because we'll have so many court actions. We have brilliant brothers and sisters who will be able to do this. And they'll be able to organize like they did way back to defeat the white racists in economic ways and means. When we start going to their stores, we start buying certain products of theirs. We start making our own products. And then when they want to discriminate, say, okay, look, hey, man, I'll stop going to Albertsons. I'll stop going over to Ralph's. I'll start going to your stores. You'll see what the impact will be. It'll be devastating. Now, and protesting against the racist American regime, protesting it in the right way, because we have to. It's been killing us for 400 years, my brothers and sisters. We got to do something. Okay, now, as I talked about before, how do you become this new Pan-Africanist? Okay, how do you do this? How do you get into this framework? The first thing, as I said, you got to have a naming ceremony. You got to have prominent elder Black folks, okay, who are spiritual in this realm. Okay, we're not talking about Islam, because Islam, we don't have this. And those who are not Muslims, and you have this naming ceremonies. Take on this African name officially or unofficially, and sticking with it, my brothers and sisters. Stick with it. If you can't go to the court because of your job, yes, we understand that. Okay, but when you leave your job, let the brothers call you Kwame, because that's what you're going to be called. And the brothers all will start adopting these names, and it'll start to catch. The Tubac will get used to it. But right now, he's not used to it, because he's accustomed to us naming ourselves after him. But he will get accustomed to it as our power gets stronger. And as he sees that our resolve for the new African culture and names is getting stronger, he will adapt to it, inshallah ta'ala. Second, it's important for the new Pan-Africanist. He must take a trip to African states. You can't be a Pan-Africanist. And this is what gets me, and I laugh. I see on YouTube, we have sisters in particular talking about Africa, Pan-Africanism, and they never step foot in Africa. So how credible are they when they start talking about that? You cannot have anything to do with anything about Pan-Africanism unless you have stepped on the continent. You got to, because you have to hit the ground here on the continent in order for you to have the badge of, hey, I came here, I saw this, I've learned that, I've talked to the elders, I've done this. Then you go back to the United States. Now you are qualified because you came here. But you can't get on YouTube and start talking about Pan-Africanism. And then I pull out a map and I ask you, can you show me where Cairo is? You know where it's at? Or how about Nairobi? Can you show me where Nairobi is? Huh? Can you show me Pretoria? You know, what country is that in? They can't even tell you that. And if you pull out a map of Africa, they would be confused. Where's Namibia? They wouldn't be able to tell you. How can they be Pan-Africanists, again, if they don't know anything about Africa? You see, the new Pan-Africanist will begin to hit the books, even sitting in LA. And hey, my brother and sister, that's what I did. I'll tell you straight out. I came in, you got to think about it, in the 70s, man. He was rough in the schools, okay? I mean, he was rough for a Black man. But I hit the research libraries, and I began to study and study and study and study. And I began to gain pride. This is what we have to do. Now you don't have those impediments. Now you don't have to go to the research library anymore. Now you sit at home and hit Google, and you can find out everything you want about Africa. But you must take that trip. And you must go to a place where it will support you. Not all African countries are supportive. Unfortunately, I must say that to you. You must pick the right country. And you got to stay out of the ones who are having war like Ethiopia right now. You can't go there. You see what's happening there. You can't get caught up in something like that. and some other places where they're having coups taking place and there's a lot of turmoil. Stay away from those. But you can hit Ghana, you can hit Sierra Leone and Liberia, and the Gambia. Everybody's going to Senegal. We have places where you can go. You can go to Tanzania. You can go to Kenya. There's many countries that you can go to where you can get on the ground and start to learn and get into that African sun and eat the food and everything, and then go back home, what you got from that, and go back home and start to bring your people towards Pan-Africanism. Now, the new Pan-Africanists will also do something that the others did not do, to form partnerships and business with African counterparts in Africa and other places. The new Pan-Africanists today, you know what they're doing? They're starting to have now agreements with African brothers and sisters. Okay? This is unheard of. You might have heard it here and there. Now it's starting to happen more. Okay? This is what we need. The new Pan-Africanism, we need to share the ideas because we came from different experiences. Yes, one came on a slave ship. The other one was colonized there in Africa. We came on the slave ships, but we're starting to get together. That's important. You must form these partnerships. The new Pan-Africanists will form these partnerships. Now, the new Pan-Africanist, as I've said before, he's more eager to adopt the African language and engage in promoting it. The Black nationalist is not. The Pan-Africanist is. Now, the Pan-Africanist is also more protective of Africa as a general rule because he understands Africa. He's more protective of it and have high hopes of it. And he also knows that he may immigrate to it. This is important. Now, how about a Pan-Africanist? Pan-Africanist, he can be a Muslim. He can be atheist, okay? He can be a Christian. He can be even a Hebrew, even agnostic. He can be all of those and still be Pan-Africanist. But again, there's certain rules that the Muslims must follow if they're gonna, if they, you know, like you're gonna be Pan-Africanist, if you're gonna have that in heart. There's certain rules that we must follow. I don't need to get into that because that's for the Muslims and that's for another show. But you can still be Pan-African. You still promote Africa. There's nothing wrong with it, and we have guidelines as a Muslim. But to others, you don't have such guidelines. So you should promote Africa. You should get it into your blood and wish for it, because with a healthy Africa, you may want to migrate. And if you do migrate, you'll set a standard. And then we start having more and more. This is what we see now. We have more and more Black folks coming into Africa. It's growing. The communities are growing. And now many of them say, hey, I don't want to go back home. This is what we want. As I said last week, I admit it. This is my goal. I want to see my brothers and sisters who can do it, who are able to do it and qualified to do it, come to Africa, get away from there. It's a sinking ship. Now, the Pan-Africanists, the new ones, can galvanize the Africans in America and so forth, regardless of religion. We have common ground. We have common goals. But of course, we have differences as far as religion. That has to be put aside to a degree. That means I can't come and step on the toes of the Hebrews, and the Hebrews can't step on the toes of the Muslims or the atheists or those who are practicing traditional African religions. We can't step on each other's toes. We have to keep common ground and work together to improve Africa, to make it whole. We can't do that by having turf wars. The Muslims and the Hebrews argue about what should we call subhanahu wa ta'ala and so forth. So we shouldn't get into that. We leave that alone. We put that in the back burner and we come together and work together for the one common goal. When it's time for me to pray, I pray. No Hebrew should come to me and say, hey, yeah, look, man, I'm sorry, man. You can't pray today. We have a meeting over here. I don't want to see it. We can't do that. And the Hebrew has to do something, and it's some ceremony for him. We have to honor that. If we have our Juju brother, he's got something, we should let him do his thing. We should not encroach on his belief system. We should work together, all of us Africans, irrespective of religion. Now, here I'm going to say this to you, and this is going to be not a shocker because everybody knows how I feel about this. And the Pan-Africanists, they don't like this. Little or no tolerance for subculture Black groups. Brothers, that's killing us, and it's still killing us. When you got subculture Black groups who can't even speak good, they can't even read and write. but they can get in rap or they can go slang dope. Now we understand what's causing that. But not all of us went to go slang dope. Not all of us went to go bang and spray up our neighborhoods. So why did certain ones do that? And why the other ones didn't do it? The subculture groups are part of the problem. That's why the Tuba wants you to stay in Watts, okay? Or he wants you to stay in Compton. He wants you to stay in other Black areas because the chance of you being shot by another Black man is great. They know that. But your chance of being shot by a Black African in Ghana is practically zero. But in LA, the highs, hey man, especially at nighttime, and something's going down, you walk across the street and you can get shot. Okay, we know that. I mean, hey man, I'm from Compton. I know this can happen. There's little or no tolerance for these subculture groups and genre. It's over. No, we cannot have that because these people here take us down. I have to say that, my brothers, it takes us down. When they show them on TV, some of them still walking down there, walking like a woman with their pants hanging down to their knees. Is that African culture? They are not promoting our culture. Matter of fact, they're detriment to it. They're genocidal racists in a lot of ways. I gave the story 6, 7, 8 years ago. When I read this, it upset my stomach a lot. These brothers left LA and they went into another white community where the mall was. They went there. These two, they were gangsters. They came driving to kill another Black man. They were roving the streets as though they were like Klansmen. So they went to this one white mall. It was in Torrance. I can't recall where it was now. It's 5, 6 years ago. Here's white folks just near Christmas. White folks, two bobs coming with Christmas gift. They left him alone. They saw one brother coming out and they targeted him and they shot and killed him. This is the subculture group I'm talking about. They left LA to come into a white suburb to look for a Black man to kill. Not the Tuba, but another Black man. Because the devil's got to them to where they have self-hatred. These groups like this are detriment to our race. They are. Yes, we understand the causes and so forth and so on. Brothers and sisters, let's tell that to the sisters who lost their sons, who were up and coming and shot by these genocidal racists for no reason because they were getting ready to go to Harvard or they're getting ready to go to UCLA and stuff, and they were up and coming. And some of the gangs said, "Hey man, this nigga, he ain't going anywhere. I'm gonna get him." When I see him going to McDonald's, and then when you see our young brother going to McDonald's, they gun him down. How many we've seen, my brothers and sisters, have been gunned down by these genocidal racists? They're just like the Klansmen. Why? Why would they go kill the young brother? This is what I'm talking about. These subculture groups here are bad news. I hate them. I will say that. I understand that. And I pray for them that they will come out of that. And let me preface this. Many of these brothers that we talk about right now, genocidal racists against their own people, they go out to kill other Black people. They come into the prison and they meet an OG Muslim. Yes, an OG Muslim. And he brings them slowly from that. And when those gangsters who were Crips and Bloods and I forgot all these groups, bounty hunters. There was many even when I was a teenager. Now they came as good citizens. They cleaned up. This, I have to say, Islam does this. Christianity cannot do this. Okay, even though he come out in a Christian thing, he goes back. But Muslims, they tend to hang on to it because there's something in it that brings them to subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you see them. When you see the brothers, all of a sudden they starting to smart their beard and they wear the kufi and they start wearing nice robes and stuff like that. They look good. These brothers, you see them now. They have this light on them because they have left the devil and now they're going towards subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we want for our brothers. I pray for them. But when they're killing and robbing and slanging dope and spraying the area, these subculture groups are detriment to us. The Pan-Africanist has to fight them because these are detriment to our movement. They are. I have to say it as it is, my brothers and sisters. They are no different in some ways than the Klansmen. The difference in the Klansmen is we don't have nothing to do with them. We don't pray for them. We pray for their demise. But our brothers who were just like the Klansmen, But we pray for them and we try to work with them. We try to get to them because their ancestors came on the same ships. So we have to be somewhat tolerant and try to bring them. But some are so far gone, you can't. But many of them go into prison and they get changed up. We understand that. And alhamdulillah, when I see that, I'm happy. And sometimes I even have a tear when I see these brothers, they were slinging dope and now they're strong Muslims. They're strong Muslims. Beautiful, beautiful to watch. Now, as I already talked about the subgroups, gangsters, drug dealers, gangsters, mafias, all that kind of stuff, that subgroup is no good. Here's the other one I'm going to get you on too. The new Pan-Africanist has little tolerance for the black politicals in the country. They are mostly 90.9% are sellouts. Nobody can tell me any different. They are not working toward the betterment of black folk. They're getting their monthly check, 150,000, whatever the government's paying them. They talk good and everything else. We still have the same problems. We still have the same justice system. The black politicals are a detriment to Pan-Africanism. They will legislate against you. They're against you. They're there in Washington, D.C. It's only a handful of them that are okay. Most of them are black faces, but inside of them, they are not Africans, and they will legislate against you. We know that. They're against Pan-Africanism. And these, we have no tolerance for them. And so we talked about this type of thing. Now, I'm going to have to get into something because I want to talk to you about our dear ancestor brother, Martin Delany. And I don't see any questions here. Okay. I have to talk about him because this is important, my brothers and sisters. Please learn about our ancestral brother, Martin Delany. He was a brilliant man, very educated, very, very educated. And in the mid-50s, this brother advocated that the African Americans, their slaves, freedmen, whoever they can get out, to go to Africa. He went to Africa to find a place so we could immigrate because we could not do that anymore. Here's what Frederick Douglass said about him. And our brother Frederick Douglass, even though they had odds on how we can uplift a black man, but they loved and still respected each other. They just went separate ways on accomplishing their goal. But Frederick Douglass, when they were working on, they had a newspaper, and Martin Delany was the co-author of the newspaper, the North, I forgot what it's called. And they began to work together. Here's what Frederick Douglass said about him. He said, Delany's legacy as a spokesman for black nationalism, I thank God, Frederick Douglass saying this, I thank God for making me a black man. This is what Frederick Douglass said. But Delany thanks him for making him a black man. Beautiful. Here's what hear me good again, my brothers and sisters. Martin Delany, this is what Frederick Douglass said about him. Frederick Douglass, our ancestral brother, said that he was happy that Subhanahu wa Ta'ala made him a man. But he said that Martin Delany went one step further. He said he thanks God for making him a black man. This is in 1850s. Pan-Africanism, okay, at its best. He started this. And Frederick Douglass had a lot of respect for him. And Martin Delany said every people should be originators of their own destiny. He believed that the black man should not be sitting there waiting at a table, waiting for a plate of victuals and a butter biscuit. He didn't want that. He said we should be the originators of our own destiny. It's true. We're men just like everybody else. And they had their disagreements, Frederick Douglass and Martin Delany. They had their disagreements on the way, what's the plight of the black man, how we should do it. But they were still friends and they were brothers. And Frederick Douglass was a semi-nationalist, but we know his reputation. He was a beautiful orator and he could write the English language. And what also was Martin Delany, both of them. My brothers and sisters, get the books of Martin Delany that you can find. I think some of them are on Google now. I mean, you can Google and you can get them in PDF or something. I'm not mistaken, but you can read. They're beautiful books. If you want to be uplifted as a black man to give you inspiration, you must read about Martin Delany because he was the first original of the Pan-Africanists. Now, I have to say this also about Pan-Africanism because we have to bring this point up. We still have a problem in the Black community as far as color. We know that. Now, what is a Black man? Can a Black man be my complexion? He has to be my complexion or darker? Or can he be a very light-skinned man with light eyes? We have not tackled that issue per se. We talk about it and skirt around it, but we also have mistrust about that. We have light-skinned brothers, and we know some of them is rough. They talk a lot about, especially Black nationalism and Pan-Africanism, but they're light-skinned. And then we have dark-skinned brothers who are Uncle Toms. You see, so it's not necessarily the color, but on the same token, we have this particular problem. And this problem was raised in the 1850s by who? Martin Delany, who said that he questioned Frederick Douglass' qualifications to lead Black nationalism. Why? Because he was mixed race and he was lighter skinned. This is the first salvo of the conflict of Pan-Africanism, Black nationalism. What Black man should be able to lead, and who should be in this? Should he be a very dark-skinned Black man with very kinky hair? Or can he be a very light-skinned man who's got recent white history and he's got straight wavy hair, maybe light-colored eyes and alkaline features like that of Europeans? He said there was a problem in this. And he said this: attempts to use Black heritage to say to Black people that he should be better leader because people cannot say that intelligence has anything to do with European blood as compared to Douglass, who's mixed race. Because you remember in those days, when they had a brilliant Black man, they point why he could read and write and why he was a great orator because he was white. He had white blood. But when he's Black like Martin Delany, see, they dissed that. He said, no, you can't have this intelligence. So he was saying that the Black people at the time were saying, well, maybe he's got this because he has white blood. And that caused a problem with Black people because many of them didn't like Frederick Douglass because he was mixed race, but it was not his fault. None of us have, look, we know DNA. Every Black man in America has probably this gene from the Europeans. You do your DNA, you'll see what I'm talking about. I was shocked at what I found in mine. And most of all of us who've done DNA, you find you have history in Europe. We have no control of that. So even in this case, but it still raised its head in 1850s. And he also wanted to uplift I'm talking about Martin Delany, he wanted to uplift the Black people into a position. At one time, he thought about maybe having them organized inside the United States, but that was quickly stopped when a mob came after him in Ohio to kill him. This is Tubaab. They came to lynch him, but he escaped. From that point after that, he knew America was not the place for the Black man. And he urged in his writings that the Black man leave that place. This is in the 1850s, 1860s. He said, it's time to leave. He said that the solution for the Black condition lies in the immigration of all African Americans back to Africa. That's what he said. He was calling people then African Americans. Martin Delany was. Now, he said that America and the Black people were a nation within a nation. They had the Tubaab nation here, and under it was a Black nation. We still have that today. And we must go from the oppressors, he said. We must leave this. We must. We have to find something because it's not getting better. He advocated this back in the 1850s and the 60s. We must get from under this oppression in order for us to survive. We must do that. We can't. There's no more parlay at the table with them. It's over. It doesn't work. We have benevolent white presidents coming there, and we have the same plight. They do nothing for us. They still kill us on the street. So the talking at the table is over. And let's get into this a little further. How can you trust? All the soul things that they had promised us, what did they do? They broke it, especially the 40 acres and a mule. They're supposed to give us that from slavery as a reparation. They never gave it to us. They've always made promises. They've always broke those promises. So now why are you going to still try to parlay with this man 400, 500 years? He's not interested in your upliftment. He's interested in keeping you there and in a subservient position. That's what he was saying here. He said, we must move away from, we must go from our oppressors, he wrote. This is what he said. It's true. The Pan-Africanists are now, many of them are adopting his philosophies. And this is what we have them coming over, and then they starting to work with other brilliant, Africans on the continent here who are Pan-Africanists. We're starting to see this union develop. And I'm curious to see when the two Bob going to step in and stop it, because he doesn't want that. And when we had our brother Marcus Garvey, who was doing that, you know what happened to him. They don't like to see us in any type of agreement with one another. They don't want to see that. And he also wrote this book about the ethnology, and you have to get that. This book, he argued about race, pride, and purity. Remember what I told you? He felt that mixing with the Tubab was bad news. He said, don't do it. He preached that we keep our African blood as pure as we could and don't mix with the Tubab. He was advocating this. This is in 1879 when he wrote this book, The Principle of Ethnology. And he argued to keep the race strong and dedicated to the African cause by keeping black man, black woman married. No mixing with the Tubab. This is what he advocated. So this is some of the stuff, excerpts that our brother wrote about. And each one of us who is a Pan-Africanist must do this. He must understand the ways and means of Martin Delany. His Search for a Place is a famous book where he went to Africa to find a place for the black man in America to get away from his oppressors. You should read that book. I read that book in college many years ago. It's called Search for a Place. Very interesting. And pick up the rest of the books. These are those who want to be Pan-Africanists. And I say to you again, I'm going to get into that. How do we strengthen our Pan-Africanism individually and among our folks, among our people? How do we strengthen that? By what? Getting a grasp on African history. My brothers and sisters, even a black nationalist, which most of them are very, very weak as far as African history. You must get grasp of that. You must understand many portions of African history. You must do this, my brothers and sisters. Okay, you got to do this. Now, the second part to this, to strengthen your Pan-Africanism, you must take a DNA test if you can afford it. My brothers and sisters, even if it's some of the ones they like, I think Ancestry is $59 or something like that. If you can afford it, take those tests. Find out where your ancestors actually came from. We know they came from Africa. For what? Okay, like me, I've learned Saeed and some other ones, probably they can tell you the same thing. Abina, all of us, we've had our tests done. We know what we are. We know we're Fola, we're Mende, we're Mandinka. We know that we're Kru, we're a Capelli. They know, they know what ethnic group. This is important. The DNA test ascertains our African roots. Now you know where your ancestral mothers and fathers came from. This is important and strengthening your Pan-Africanism. You have to take that test so you will know. It's not just to say, yeah, I'm from Africa. You should know where your ancestral mother came from. Did she come from Senegal? What is she? Is she Mandinka? What language does she speak? You should know that. I tell you, it's uplifting. Yes, I knew I came from Africa. I understood that. But it was uplifting when I found out where my ancestral mothers and my father came from. That made a big difference, my brothers and sisters, made an awful big difference in my life to know that I'm Fula and I'm Mandi as well. And I also have Mandinka blood. I'm proud of that. I'm happy of that. I know where my ancestors were. Now I can pinpoint that. That's why I don't call myself African American anymore. I leave that alone. I'm not African American anymore. I basically want to call myself full American. But as I said on the previous shows, now I had another test done, it's more sensitive, and I found out I even have Moroccan blood. So I'm Moroccan as well. See, so the DNA test is very important for the new Pan-Africanists. Now, adopt a culture and language. Once you get your DNA and you come back to the Gambia and say you are Mende, you pick up that culture and language. I know on YouTube they're starting to have brothers speak this, and you can learn that. Learn that culture, learn that language of your ancestors. It's refreshing. It's refreshing because now you know that your ancestors were Mende. You learn that language and culture. This is what you should do as a Pan-Africanist. Now, adopting the African foods. Now, I'm going to say this. Adopting the African foods, because now the foods are imported from all over the world in America. You have that type of thing. You can import foods, or you can take foods that are grown inside America that is good for you, because the diet is killing us. The new Pan-Africanist, he understands that. So he changes his diet away from the McDonald's, and he weans himself off pork. That's important, my brothers and sisters, because we know that the Hebrews, we know that this meat is unclean. Even the Hebrew brothers, they know that. They stay away from it. The Muslim brothers stay away from it. Our Christians and brothers, they and sisters, they're weak in this regard because they have the New Testament, which contradicts the Old Testament. Old Testament, and under the Torah, under the Sharia, pork is not allowed, but they still eat it. But you need to get away from the deadly foods. Yes, hey man, I'm gonna tell you, I know, because I talk many times. Like I said, my wife, I make her laugh. I talk, and even a lot of times I talk with Abina. We laugh about when we were kids, because I was raised with Abina in Compton. We talk about all the candy, and there's a one famous bakery that was right by the school. All of us used to get the stuff there, and there's barbecue places, and so hot links and all that, and chicken, a barbecue chicken sandwich. I miss all that, but it's not good for you, my brothers and sisters. It's deadly foods, and it's hurting us. The Pan-Africanists also stop smoking and drinking liquor. You must, because the Pan-Africanists must take the traditions of Africa. The smoking and drinking is something that they were against. Now, yes, there are beverages in Africa that they drink, but they didn't drink it to get high. They didn't drink it to make them to go out and do things and do things wrong. The new Pan-Africanist cleans up his morals. Irrespective if you're Muslim, or if you're not a Muslim, or you Hebrew, or you Juju, or you Obia, or you a Creole, or anything else, we must clean up our morals. We must do that. The new Pan-Africanists must clean up his morals, meaning that we don't do things that is detrimental to one another. Meaning this, me as a black man, okay, and us black men, we go and we date the sister, and instead of us thinking of trying to get to her to go take her to bed, we should do something else. We respect her. We go to her house. We ask for permission. We do things under African culture. This is the new Pan-Africanist. We ask permission from the parents. Can we date the daughter? And if need be chaperoned. You take this sister out and you give her a good time, meaning you go to the show, you go over here, you go get a bite to eat, you guys walk in a park, whatever the situation may be. But leave her alone. Don't touch her. Because we know that Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has made the woman special in the eyes of the man. She is built the way she is to attract you. But we have limits to this. The new Pan-Africanist, he understands that. Yes, he sees a beautiful sister. He sees Abina. He sees Amina. He sees the beautiful sisters. He sees them. But he knows it's time when he marries her, then under the guise of Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, now he's ordained to touch his wife and so forth. You understand what I mean? But in this situation here, you change. Get away from the genre that's killing us now, where we see a sister, we like her, and immediately we start to go have relations with her. She gets pregnant. You know what happens in that. We have to stop that. Now, we have putting our children in African language schools and virtual schools. My brothers and sisters, this is starting to happen in the United States. On Saturdays and stuff like that, some of our parents now are getting virtual schools on Swahili. There's one, the ADDI is specializing in that now. We having children now are doing this. They're learning Swahili and other African languages. We should do this with our children. This is important, my brothers and sisters, to have our children because they're the next generation. If you begin to teach them about Africa and about the languages of Africa and they begin to adopt one, this is going to pass on. So we can stop this deadly thing that's happened to us. And now we can uplift ourselves. And I'm going to say this one here, and then we're going to close here. Stop calling each other. The new Pan-Africanist does not use the word NIGGR unless it's deserving. We don't call and we don't go call each other brothers, and we're in good faith. And I'm going, hey, NIGG, how you doing, nigga? Okay, we don't do that. We should stop that. It's degrading. We should not use that language. That's the language of the Tuba. Now, the down the river Negro, the house Negro, the handbone Negro, those who turn us in, those who work against us, this is what they is. Because if you understand the English language, this NIGGR means it was designed in British for bad people, okay, muggers, people who were low grade, but they used this word against us because of the Spanish. They used Negro, and then they switched it around. We do not use that term Pan-Africanist unless it's deserving for that class of people who are apostates, the down the river Negroes, the handbone and so forth. So those handbone Negroes who go against us. Now that's deserving, but you use it sparingly. But you don't call your brother that you love this word, even though you don't mean it. Stop it. It's not for us. The Pan-Africanist will not do this. He will stop that. It's not right. So, my brothers and sisters, I went through some of the Pan-Africanism, and I'm hoping that you get where I'm getting at, and hoping that it will promote you now to learn about Pan-Africanism, how it can be effective, how you can learn something from it, how you can adopt this, and you can and you'll see that you will change because of this. And my brothers and sisters, at this point, we're at the crossroads. We have to do something. Black nationalism has never worked. Okay, it's never worked. Making cultural agreements with the Tuba has not worked. 500 years, we've had it. We still don't have it. Pan-Africanism is working. It's starting to blossom. And as Africa is starting to free itself, we should be a part of that. And we will be a part of that because we have great influence in Africa. Believe it or not, we do. We have many Africans who look up to us. Why? Because we've had the advantage, as I said before, because we've lived in the land of the Tuba. We've now got a lot of technology. We have got a lot of things behind us. So when we come over in Africa, we use that. And we have brothers and sisters who are doing this. They're starting to use it for the betterment of our people. And this is something that we need to keep promoting, my brothers and sisters, that we do this. And lastly on this, don't be afraid, my brothers and sisters, of Pan-Africanism. It's not terrorism. Don't let the Tuba tell you to go get away from it. There's nothing wrong with Pan-Africanism. It's a promotion of a race of people and a culture and a nation, and to better it. Meaning all of us from all walks of life around the world. This is the Pan-Africanist is designed. But the Pan-Africanist also in the essence is asking for what? Our brothers to come back to the natural homeland to strengthen it. But we know we can't, some of us can't leave Brazil. Some of us can't leave Cuba. Some of us cannot leave Jamaica or Trinidad. So we have to find other avenues. We can start making those places new Africa. It can happen. But we have to have brothers come over to Africa first. They have to be re-indoctrinated. And they go back home for those who cannot come to make them whole again. And our sister from ADDI talked about the Swahili. That makes a big difference, my brothers and sisters. You adopt an African language. Swahili is beautiful. And you as a Black man and woman, you'll find it easy because you already have the accent. The African accent is already there. So you'll be able to pick it up. As my brother Sahid, if he was here, he would tell you that. It's easy to pick up. So I'm hoping, my brothers and sisters, that you get something out of this today, and you ponder this and you think about this, and you ask, is Pan-Africanism for me? If it is, then some of the steps I've laid out here, you must do that. If it's not for you yet, you're not ready for that yet, we understand that. Subhanahu wa ta'ala guides those in his time. Maybe you're not ready. Not all of us is cut out to be Pan-Africanists. Many of us still have doubts about certain things. We understand that. You take your time, you ask Subhanahu wa ta'ala, you pray. And the way you pray to Subhanahu wa ta'ala, you ask him for guidance on the issue like this, because it's important, my brothers and sisters, because those who cannot leave, then you go and carve out those states in the South. Many of us are running down there now to the South, and it can work if you cannot come to Africa. So my brothers, thank you, and sisters, thank you for showing up today, Bode, and our brother King Kenyada and Bina. Thank you very much for showing up today, and those that are looking, and those in the future on this talk on the new Pan-Africanism and whatnot. I don't know if I'm going to be doing any more of these because I got to get back to my Islamic programs. But, there's a time and place where we have to talk about things like this because it's important. And we must lend our voices to the situations we have brothers. And since I have a platform, I want to use that to uplift us, because we should be uplifted, and each one of us should try to uplift the other one. And this is what I'm trying to do. So my brothers and sisters, thank you very much for showing up, and those in the future as well. And I'm going to leave you with the beautiful words of heaven and an African dialect. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wabarakatuh.